Welcome back, YouTube. It's your boy Jay Roebuck, and I'm here to discuss all things that have been going on with Drake over the past few days. From Iceman episode 3 rollouts, to potentially teasing the album, to his Amazon business moves, and I'm also going to address the hate. Everyone who has been talking about Drake and what he's purchased, everyone who has something to say about the music and the album, we are going to break it down and analyze it. Because here, we don't just talk about the music, we talk about the business behind the music. So if you're here to learn, if you're here to engage, if you're here to actually think, you found the right video. But if you're someone who's just here to hate, I'm gonna give you a moment to leave. Now let's get into it. Now, who knew the teaser for an interview would cause this much uproar? Drake and Bobby Altoff teased that they will be doing a part 2 of their interview for her new show, Not This Again. Now the trailer is very simple. It's the two of them sitting in a bed again in a very scenic view, which seems like a big city. And they're talking about doing the episode and what they want to work on. Is it the chemistry? Is it the one-liners? And then at the end, they both look at the camera and say, not this again. Now, this is a very light and playful teaser, and I'm sure it's going to be a light and playful interview. But that was not people's reaction to it. People were in an uproar on the internet that Drake did not go to a hip-hop media source for an interview. He didn't go to Akademiks, he didn't go to Budden, he didn't go to Charlamagne, he didn't go to Rob Markman, he didn't go to any of those people. He went back to Bobby Altoff. So let's talk about why that might be. I think there's a few reasons. The first reason is Drake may not want to talk about what happened last year with the whole beef with Kendrick Lamar. He probably cannot and does not want to talk about the ongoing lawsuit against UMG. So how can you have an interview if you don't want these two huge topics coming up? You interview with someone who's outside of the hip hop space. Now that's going to anger people, but that anger is okay because that is just attention and views. You always want to do things that make people want to talk about you, for better or for worse. All press is good press. So if Drake wants to continue to roll out this album, he needs people talking about him. And what better way to get people talking about you than doing something that you know's upset people? Drake is a troll. Everyone should know that. So for all the people who complain about who he's not doing interviews with, he went with the one person that would piss them off the most and is gonna cause the most internet discourse. Now there's also a bunch of reasons why he shouldn't do an interview with Bobby. I'm a fan of hip hop, I'm a fan of Drake, I'm a fan of everything that has occurred in the past year. The back and forth, the diss tracks, I'm a fan of all the uploads, all of the back and forth with the UMG. It's entertaining. This is the music business. It's an entertainment business. But I want to hear him talk about things. I want to hear what his perspective was. I want to hear who he's not working with. I want to hear who he hates. I want to hear how he's going to get his revenge. We're not going to get any of those answers as fans in an interview with Bobby. But I do understand why Drake doesn't want to do that at the moment. He probably has to let the music do the talking. He also can't answer certain questions because there's an ongoing legal battle. So he's probably not able to speak about it because it could help or hurt his case, and his lawyers are advising him not to do that. And for that reason, I understand. As I thought more about this, I began to think, who could Drake go to for an interview? Who would he want to sit with for an interview? How would this be mutually beneficial? Because it takes a special kind of person to do this. You have to have the audience for this. You have to have the pedigree for this. And you have to be willing to ask the tough questions and push Drake further in an interview where he may not reveal much. There are only a few people in the hip hop space who are qualified to do this. Let's go through the candidates. We can start with Charlamagne the God. Now Charlamagne could do this independently or he could do it with the Breakfast Club. Does Charlamagne check the right boxes? Certainly he's qualified to do it. He has all the viral moments. He's helped build the morning show. He's helped build independent platforms. And he's interviewed some of the top people in the game. But would Drake want to interview with him? The answer is no. There's a few reasons why he wouldn't want to interview with Charlamagne. Charlamagne has been hating on him his whole career. Charlamagne has said that he's only a fan of R&B Drake. Charlamagne has been Drake's most consistent critic over the past 15 years. So why would Drake want to sit down and do an interview with him? Whoever Drake interviews with, it is going to break records on the amount of viewership it's going to get. It's going to help them not only with viewership, but it's going to help them make money. So why would Drake want to help someone who has been against him his whole career? It just doesn't make sense. In fact, the only time these two have been on the same page is when Drake sent him bottles during the Meek Mill beef. That's the only time, and I think they squashed it for like a month. But other than that, why would Drake want to go to Power 105? The Breakfast Club is a huge show, but over the past few years, have they created those big hip hop moments? I don't think so. So why doesn't he sit down with a streamer? Why not Aiden? Why not Speed? Why not Kai? Why not Ben? Why not DDG? While those people all have big names and are on a big platform, they don't have the pedigree to sit down and do a real interview where they get into the thick of things. They also may not be willing to push back against Drake because they may fear they could damage their relationship with him. That's not the right interview, and it's also not the right audience. That audience tends to skew younger. You're looking at people who are between the ages of 18 to 27. While that's a decent demographic, I don't think that's Drake's main demographic. People who have grew up with him over the years are between the ages of 30 to 40 years old. That's your real core audience. So you need to speak to them directly when you're going to address major issues like a beef, like a lawsuit, like how you feel about the people around you and betrayal. That you need a mature audience and a mature interviewer. So while streamers are able to get big numbers and draw in big crowds, they're not really equipped to handle an interview of this magnitude. What about Akademiks, Big Ak, one of Drake's most loyal media members, in fact, probably the most loyal media member? Wouldn't it make sense for Drake to sit down with him? I think that makes a lot of sense, but I don't know if it's the right first interview, but I do think they definitely need one. Because Akademiks has stood by Drake's side through all of this throughout the years, I think he has inherent bias, which is okay to acknowledge. And I think that bias may come off in the interview and definitely come off to the people who are watching it, who are going to go in there and they're going to say, Ak is compromised. I don't want to see him talk to Drake. That is what people are going to say off the bat. And it's okay to say those two have a unique relationship where it's a business thing, but it also crosses the personal lines. And because Ak has been, fighting for Drake for so long, Drake owes him something. It might not be money, it might be the time to sit down on a stream, but I don't know if Ak is the right interviewer for this. He's done some good ones. He's done, the one with Lil Durk I think is really good. He's done some other ones with big time rappers, but I don't know if he's the one to do this. I think the setting and the scene has to be super professional. There can be no drinking. There can be no, playful banter. We want to hear the good questions and we want to hear them answered in detail. We can't let Drake skate here. He needs to really address certain things. So I think Ak would be a good person to talk to Drake, just not at this moment and not until things have really cooled down. But I think they definitely need to do a stream together and they definitely need to do an interview together. But at this moment, I don't think Ak is the right person. And now let's cross the next two off the list. I'm just going to combine these two. Ebro, you're in the category, and I'm also going to include Elliot Wilson in this category. Absolutely not. Drake has no relationship with the two of them. Elliot actually got to interview Drake with B. Dot at his house. Like, they got to go there and they got that interview and it did well and they made him answer some tough questions. But that relationship has been severed. Since the beef, Drake has called Elliot a rat. Elliot has gone on to be the champion of the Dot era and he's isolated himself, and I think he's burned that bridge completely. There may have been a chance to go back, but it's definitely over now. Like, there's gonna be no communication there. And Ebro is on record calling Drake a poison. Ebro is on record saying that Drake is no good for hip hop, and he's not, he's not hip hop at all, according to him. And I think that's one of the silliest narratives ever. And I think he's shooting himself in the foot there. Drake and Apple have done good business, and Ebro is the head of Apple Music. So when you're promoting it on the Apple show, you're isolating yourself from the biggest hip hop artist in the world, which is not really a great move. Drake is also not going to go to Hot 97 because Rosenberg has been quite critical of him. So Ebro and Elliot have really iced themselves out, no pun intended, from any future work with Drake. That's over with. Now the best option would be Joe Budden. Joe Budden would give Drake the best interview, and I think it would be the combination of Joe Budden, Ish, and Mark Lamont Hill. They would be able to ask tough questions, especially Mark. And Joe knows Drake better than anyone in this interview space because they've been friends, they've been enemies, they've been somewhere in between. Joe understands the music and Joe understands the music business. And that is why he would be able to ask the right questions, because he doesn't care about public perception. He's just going to want to push Drake to a further place than he's ever been in front of the camera. And then if you bring Ish, who's been a Drake advocate, it would really balance out the room. Joe is experienced in this. He knows exactly what to do to make something entertaining. And I think that's why he would be the number one choice. Will it happen? I highly doubt it. But if there's one person I want to see sit down with Drake, it would be Joe. But who are the most likely people to get the interview? I think it's between one platform and one person. Rory and Mal. They have the pedigree. They've been doing this for over 10 years. They have the relationship. Rory's one is a little bit more rocky with Drake, but the two communicate. Mal has been an advocate for Drake, a loyal advocate. They communicate. Mal gets the music early. Mal gives the drops. Mal is OVO by some sort of relation. So I think if there's a person who Drake would do it with, it might be those two. And on the other hand, if he does do it with them, he can spite Joe at the same time because he would drive traffic to Rory and Mal's YouTube like never before. It would be their most viewed video and their most important interview to date. That makes a lot of sense to me. And the other option I like would be Speedy. Now, Speedy's on Complex, which isn't really the biggest player in this, but Complex does matter. They're known for making lists, and Speedy has interviewed Barack Obama. So if you've interviewed a former president, you can definitely interview Drake. He has the pedigree. I think Speedy also has a tonality and an even-keeled mindset to handle this without being emotional. Speedy will also ask the right questions and ask the right playful ones to make it entertaining. Speedy knows music, he knows business, he went to Syracuse. He's a smart guy, so I could definitely see, Drake giving Speedy an interview. But I think the message is clear here. Whatever's going to piss you off, Drake is going to do. This is the pettiness in him. This is the revenge angle. He's aware of what you're saying on the internet. He sees it all. But he's going to do the things that you don't want him to do. Because he didn't get this far in his career trying to placate to one specific person or one type of person. He got this far because he's diverse in all his actions and all his moves. He knows that whoever he sits with is going to make money, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and it's going to elevate their platform and elevate their career. He did it once for Bobby, and he's going to do it again. People believe that he's a part owner in the podcast, which is a plausible theory because why not elevate something that you're invested in because you know you're going to make the money? I could see that being the case. But for all those who turned against him and spoke about him negatively, why would he help you and do the interview? I don't see him making a selfless move in that way anymore. For people who had the ability to buy it. Many people had the ability to buy it, but Drake decided to. So let's listen to hear what some people had to say about him purchasing the chain. Specifically, Glasses Malone.
Drake was supposed to have bought TuPac's Death Row chain. This is the thing. Shout out to everybody who gets offended. Like, well, if Drake is not hip hop, why are we always talking about him? When Drake is doing it with his son, none of us talk about him. When Drake is doing something with his mother, none of us got nothing to say. It's when he start tying hip hop shit. Like the TuPac Chain. That's why we talking about.
Now, this point I can't agree with at all. Number one, Drake is hip hop. You cannot deny it. It's his birthright. It's in his blood. Although he grew up in Canada with a white Jewish mother, his father's a Black American. His uncles are Black Americans. They helped shape the sound of music from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. His father spent time in jail. He was on the jail call with his father and his cellmate rapping. He's had a love for hip hop. I don't need to go through the videos and the pictures of him in Memphis and when he did spend time with his father. Everyone's upbringing is unique. It is in his blood. Let's end that narrative as well. Now, you're saying that you don't like when he involves himself in a hip hop space and people wouldn't talk about him if he didn't. Again, another silly narrative. He walked out with a t-shirt in Australia and people were mad about it. People are going to discuss him because it brings clicks and views. But he's buying art. He's buying pieces of hip hop. The people who had it before don't belong to hip hop culture. So why do you care now that he has it? Why are people upset that he has it? Someone who has, dominated the industry, someone who has helped build the industry, someone who took hip hop to new heights and made it more mainstream so that we can have artists on a major global level and a major global scale. He helped build that. He helped make hip hop the #1 genre in the world. That is a fact. There's no denying that. So every time he does something that you don't like, people want to be upset and cry about it. Well, cry harder. No matter what you say, you can't erase history. No matter what you say, you can't erase a bloodline. You can't erase a birthright. And that is what he has, like it or not. So if people want to be so upset about the items that he has, purchase them yourself. Why aren't you upset that the chain even went to auction? If you people claim to be the gatekeepers of hip hop, why are you not trying to build a foundation that can preserve hip hop's most prized possessions and artifacts? Because he's collecting them. He's putting them in his house. He's putting them on display. He's not disrespecting them. He's taunted Pharrell, sure. But even I had a chance to buy Pharrell's items. They were up for sale for everybody. So instead of letting Drake buy them, who has his beef with Pharrell and Push, someone else should have stepped up and bought them if people cared that much. But what he's doing for hip hop is actually preserving legacy. Because would you want that chain in the hands of someone who knows nothing about it? Someone who has not participated in it? Someone who is not from it? I bet you wouldn't want that. So don't be mad when he did something that the whole world had the chance to do. I can also say, I told you so. Drake posted again about Amazon saying, we are just getting started. There's more to come. What more is to come with Amazon? Well, there's a few things. I think Iceman is going to be rolled out, of course, on all streaming platforms, but I believe the merch is going to be rolled out on Amazon, and what he's doing right now is a test run. I told you that. And I am highly certain that we're going to get some bundles moved through Amazon. We'll get some merch moved through Amazon that will help the first week's sales. That is what this is leading towards. That is good business. And that's why he started with a test run of some old product mixed with some new product. And I also noted, and thanks to everyone who pointed this out on Instagram and on X and on TikTok, that there was a date here. Let's look at the date. People have pointed out that the date of October 24th is not only seen on its Amazon as the end time, but this was also seen in Iceman episode 1 as the code that Drake punched in. This is a great thing that people notice, and this could be the release date of Iceman the album. It would make sense. It's in October, October's very own. He's been talking about this date. He's mentioned it a few times. Now, this theory I think will mean something. I don't know if it's the date of the album because I think the album is finished. I've heard some rumors that the album is done already. He's just waiting for UMG to give it the green light. So we'll see what happens, but that's a great thing to pick up on, and thank you to all of those people who pointed that out to me. Finally, the question that everyone has been asking me, when is Iceman episode 3 going to drop? I have a plausible theory here, and it comes from Ben Dorado's post. Ben Dorado is Drake's creative director. He's been the man behind all of these rollouts from Iceman episode 1 and Iceman episode 2. On his Instagram, he created and he posted a reel. And in this reel, we're going to see a few important things. The first thing is the continuance of the color red, that theme. In these posts, he posted Pinocchio again, obviously wearing the color red on the clothing, and he posted Drake in the elevator where it says stop. I told you that this was intentional in 2 videos that I posted 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Ben hinted it. He wouldn't post this if it didn't mean something. And then at the end of this slide carousel, we see coming soon with the Pinocchio logo. And we all know Pinocchio is probably alluding to Kendrick Lamar, to UMG, to the executives, but mainly Kendrick. So if it says coming soon, that means that the episode is on its way. Italy has also been something that Drake has been hinting at since the plot twist account started over a year ago. He's posted the race car driver, Kimmy. He's posted many things with the Italian flag and the Italian colorway, which has red and green. But specifically, I told you episode 3 is going to talk about the color red and is going to feature red throughout the entire episode. I'm fairly certain of that. And that also ties back into the whole Pinocchio thing, right? Pinocchio is from Italy. So it would make sense to drop this episode while he's on tour, while he's in Italy, and while he has a little break, because we know these things are live streamed. So it's going to take, of course, at least one rehearsal or dry run through to talk about camera placement, angles, and timing. So he's going to need to make sure that that's ready. So there are a lot of things to sort out in this rollout. Number 1, the clearance of music. Number 2, the time to practice and roll it out well. And number 3, all of the creative direction. These things have been happening for over a year. None of this is by mistake. None of this is on the fly. He's been plotting the release of this, and he's been doing it carefully and crafting it because people said he couldn't do it. So for all the things you said Drake isn't, he's showing you that he is all of that and more. So Italy is the place where I think this all ties back in and dovetails, and we get an ending of the Iceman saga. I think we get 3 episodes, and then we'll get the album if it's going to come in August, September, or even October. I don't know if he has to do more episodes. I think this is the time where you just get to the point. So I think it's clear. Iceman episode 3 is on the way. Michael Jackson's birthday is coming up. So Drake is going to want to break this record. He could do it on Mike's birthday. He purchased some Mike memorabilia. He got the signed Thriller album signed by both Quincy and Michael. So things are aligning for something big to happen. Now this space is crowded. You got Sabrina Carpenter. You got Taylor Swift. You got some big names dropping. So you got to make sure this is an impactful time and it's an impactful drop. I think he's been hinting at this. I think he's thought about this deeply, from the entire rollout to the partnerships with Amazon. All of these things are aligning for him to do it now. He's been teasing it. He's been poking. He's been prodding. He's been trolling. Now you got to let the music talk. I don't want to wait any longer. I want to see the episode. I want to hear the album. I know it's done. I know it's done, but you got to get it out to the public. So I know you and UMG are battling it out right now, but the better the album does, the better it is for you and the better it is for them. Maybe you guys will reconcile this and the contract, dispute will be over. But if you're going to walk away with your highest selling album ever. And if you guys come to an amicable decision, then sell the most records you've ever done so that you both eat. I think that's the only way this works. You got to have the most leverage, so you have to have the most sales. Maybe that's how you get your masters back. That's what Mike did. He had to get Thriller to get the rest of his back catalog. So this could be your Thriller. You want to break Mike's record. You're purchasing the albums. Is this your best work yet? You have to challenge yourself to do that, because the most leverage you can have right now at this stage in your career is to squash the competition numbers-wise, music-wise, business-wise, and thinking it through. That was your caption. You put that. You put, "I thought this through." So now it's time to show the world. Are you ready or are you not? That's the end of this video. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and you share. I hope you are subscribed to the channel because I'm doing a $100 giveaway this Friday. The video is posted. You got to go to my post. I posted the link to it. It's only private for my subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, you can't win the money. We have been on an amazing journey. We have 3,500 subscribers. I'm not even going to say 5,000 is the goal. I want to get to 10K. When we get to 10K, I think I might do like a $500 giveaway. That's the challenge. So if you like the content, make sure you like, you subscribe, you share, send it to somebody. Let's make this even bigger than it is. Let me know what you think in the comments again. Am I wrong? Am I right? Challenge my ideas, because I will always participate as long as the discourse and the dialogue is respectful. Until next time, salute.